I see that as pointless, right? It's like it's performant or not. Right. That's it, right? You know, that's the only thing that matters. You know, in the end.
At this point, if you have a desktop, you are an enthusiast, in my opinion. Because
yes.
Otherwise, you have a laptop, I guess.
Or, or some constrained device, right? In there, right? Some performance constrained device.
So the you guys, the DIY audience, the enthusiasts, they're still very much important to AMD then right now.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I think the amount of the pull we are seeing from them for Ryzen, and you've seen all the kind of motherboards and all. It's just kind of amazing. It's like the people walk in here and some of the community and enthusiasts, and they're like, oh, we come in here and you guys actually like PC. We go to other supposedly big PC companies, they don't seem to like PC at all. And we're unfortunately giving all our money to companies that don't like PC. Right? So anyway, we love the PC.
Awesome. I'm gonna wrap it up, or do you got
anybody bite on a question? Nobody wants a question?
All right.
That's fine.
You
Crazy.
missed your chance. We are gonna wrap it up here. Important man. He has important things to do. Anyway, thanks for joining us on The Full Nerd with Brad.
Adios.
And our very special guest, Raja.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, man.
Bitwit's coverage of CES 2017 is brought to you by Fractal Design, MSI, and Cableon. Check out the links in the description below, or Half-Life 3 will stay unconfirmed.
Guess where we are?
Heroes.
This is the Designo Curve MX38 EQ monitor. Actually, that's just a bunch of text on a wall. This is the Designo Curve MX38 VQ monitor, and it's pretty beastly. You can see it's an ultra-wide display. It's LED IPS. So really good for color correction, makes all the colors pop and stuff. It says it's 21 by 9 aspect ratio, but that I think that might be inaccurate because if you look over here, it says the resolution is actually 3840 by 1600, which actually gives you a little bit more vertical space than a typical 21 by 9 display. So I think Paul said he was going to call this, start calling this Ultra Wide Plus. So I'm going to steal that for this video. Look at this Ultra Wide Plus monitor. I know he's going to hate me. But you can also see here it's a 37.5 inch. It's got some built-in 8-watt speakers. Some people like that sort of thing. There's also an audio chip built in, so it handles all the post-processing if you wanted to get your sound out of that in that such way. It's also got a wireless Qi charger. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. Actually, at the base of it is a built-in wireless charger right there. I know it's spelled QI, but I believe it's pronounced Qi. I don't even know if this phone's on. This phone was already here when I got here. Oh, there it goes. So that's actually pretty cool. I feel like when I'm at my desk, I usually put my phone right kind of on the base anyway, so now I can charge while I do that, assuming I ever get this monitor in my studio. But there's another cool panel over here. I think you guys are going to really like this. First off, just check out the industrial design. It looks pretty stunning. This is the ProArt PA32UQ. A bit of a tongue twister, but this is a 4K display, and it is 32 inches, 16 by 9, so talking a bit more of a familiar aspect ratio here. But it's a quantum dot panel that's not just 4K, but also HDR supported with Adobe RGB. You can take a look at some of the specs here. It's 85% of Rec 2020. I'm still getting familiar with all these numbers and what exactly they mean. I'm sure some of you guys could probably help me out on that. 99.5% of Adobe RGB, so going to be really great for content creators. And you can see it's also got Thunderbolt 3 DisplayPort HDMI on the video I/O, which is pretty sweet. This thing is, I hate actually recording videos of products like this because it's just impossible to show you guys how amazing it looks unless you're actually here in person. But it is pretty stellar, even just comparing it to the LED monitor over here, which is IPS again, which already looks fabulous. It looks amazing, and you just look over here and you're like, but I want this one. This is the one I want. That quantum dot HDR gets getting me really excited for premium HDR content in the near future. Hopefully we're going to be seeing that come mainstream in 2017. Let's move on to see what else they got here. All right, guys, next up we've got some motherboards here. This is a Z270 board, ROG line, of course. We've got the Maximus 9 Apex. And what good old JJ was telling me about this board is that it is for the most enthusiast of enthused overclockers. So this is basically an overclocker's wet dream, especially if you're trying to break some world records. This is actually probably the board they're going to be using at the Hardware Bot overclocking contest that's going to be going on during CES. So that's definitely saying something. You can see it's got 2 DIMM slots. Adding more DIMM slots does add some interference when you're trying to hit some high frequencies. And you're probably wondering what the heck this thing is. It's actually a DIMM M.2 adapter. So it's actually a regular DIMM slot, but they've rewired it to fit an M.2 on this little board here. So you can just mount it right there. Kind of a clever and interesting way to mount some high-speed storage in your case. We've also got this little thing here. They wanted me to point this out. This is kind of like just a little plating. It's purely aesthetic, but you can customize it however you like, just simply with a straight razor. This was actually done by hand. No like laser etching fancy work. Someone just did this with a straight razor. I think they did they traced over it. So you can kind of make the board your own, which is pretty cool. And for further customizability, you've also got full-blown RGBs all over. There's definitely no shortage of that, and that's of course controlled and tuned in the Aura software, and it syncs with any other Aura compatible components you may have in your system. Very sweet. So just when we take a look at the Apex and how that was really great for overclocking, this is a board that you want to get if you're a really high-end custom water cooler and you just are looking for the most extreme solution. In fact, that's probably why they've called it the Maximus 9 Extreme. And I think the first glaring thing that sticks out is this massive water block that actually covers not just your CPU, but your VRM, as well as the M.2 drive that you can put right under this part of the block that says Extreme. So you can water cool your M.2 drive with this entire setup. And this is included, this whole block is included, and you can see there's an inlet and outlet here. The cool thing about this is if there's a leak in either one of these ports, it'll actually auto shut off the entire system as to prevent any kind of further damage from occurring, which is pretty awesome. It's all built in, good to go. Now you'll also take a look at some of the fan headers here. There's a just ridiculous number of fan headers, and there's 12. Paul says there's 12. I assume you already did this board, Paul.
No, I'm waiting for you to finish so I can talk about it.
But
You have watched my video where I talked about and say all the same things Cal does.
Chris, make sure you edit out all this part with Paul, all right? All right, cool. Bye, Paul. So according to Paul, there's 12 of these fan headers. What's really cool about them is that they're actually grouped. So these are primarily for radiators. So you actually have, let's say you have a 480 at the bottom of your case. You plug in to these 4. They will all act pretty much the same. You want them to have the identical RPM, things like that. All the same fan curves. There's also a group of 4 up here. So if you have multiple radiators in your system, just connect it to those grouped fan headers and you're good to go. 4-pin PWM, all the good stuff. There's also independent fan headers scattered throughout the board if you just wanted to connect some basic old fans. I don't know the price point on this board. I believe, I would have to assume it's going to be like $600-700 at least. This thing is just an absolute monster. So again, for the best of the best who are looking for extreme water cooling solutions in the rig. All right, so you guys know how fond I am of mini ITX boards. So when I saw this one, I kind of got all giddy inside and screamed like a little girl. This is the Maximus 9 Hero. Boom. And this is part of the Strix line. It's not an ROG board, but when you take a look at it, you don't really feel like they've compromised for much of anything. Of course, you've got your typical 2 DIMM slots and your by 16 right there. But if you look at just like the craftsmanship and the heat sinks, they are freaking beautiful. Again, this is one of those things you have to see in person, but they are etched very nicely. The shapes are pretty on point. Look, they even fit USB 3.1 internal motherboard header right there on the corner. That is pretty awesome. And if you're wondering what this is actually a cover plate for your M.2 drive. There's an M.2 slot right here. They actually put it separately right here. You can kind of see that there's a space for your M.2. And there's a thermal pad on the inside so you can cool your M.2 as well. It's both form and function. So even if you have a really nasty, ugly-ass M.2 drive, you can just cover it all up while giving it a bit more thermal dissipation than you otherwise would without it. I kind of like the fact that they've switched over not just M.2s from behind the motherboard, they've put it to the front, and they've also made a nice elegant solution for it. I almost forgot to mention, this board also has an RGB LED header. All All right, guys, that's going to do it for me at the Asus booth here at CES 2017. They have a lot of amazing stuff here, but I really wanted to just be super precise and only cover the things that I really thought you guys would appreciate. Let me know if you like kind of the shorter format or if you want to see all the things in the next video. But until next time, get the hell out of here, Paul. You can't take him anywhere. It's just ridiculous. Anyway, huge shout out to my sponsors, MSI, Fractal Design, and Cable Mod. Go ahead and check them out in the description below. Have a good one, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.
Your enemy spawns a terror.
We switch the order of whose channel it gets posted on first. This week, just so happens to be the first half of the show was on Paul's channel. We just wrapped that up, so if you haven't seen that yet, or if you want to go watch that later, there's a link in my description if you're watching this on YouTube, or you can go to youtube.com/Paul's Hardware and find it there.
90A.
90A, yes, correct.
Now it's 90B.
Now we're on 90B. See, we've got the whole system figured out. We've got the nomenclature down. It's a fun word to know.
We should do a C at some point, just
To throw people off,
Yeah.
or maybe it's time for a C.
it should
Maybe
be lost or missing C episode.
Ooh, that could be like the bonus, like the B-roll footage,
Yeah.
but it would be C-roll.
Is but a husk.
My mind is blown. But well, but so glad for you, so happy for you guys to join us. It's more of a variety show. We talk about tech, we talk about news. We have several different segments within each half of the show where we kind of go off on tangents on different topics. It's all good, fun stuff, and hopefully if you guys are catching us for the first time live, you will enjoy it. We like to also have some fun with a beer or two, or 3 or 4. Paula is actually we're both drinking a hazelnut brown, which is from Rogue Brewing Company.
Hazelnut brown nectar.
Hazelnut brown nectar, correct.
This is one of
Can't
my favorite.
forget the nectar.
My favorite brown ales.
It's a very good tasty beer if you haven't had it yet.
And one of these is a present from my sister for a Christmas present. My sister got me beer.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
That's always the best gift.
One of them was
I'm
left over
never
from
disappointed.
last week. It
Nice.
was a terrible pour. Doesn't matter.
Just quickly tell everyone that it's a Boddington's.
It's a Boddington's. It's got a build in the head. It's a build.
It'll be fine in 2 minutes.
Why have I lost my ability to pour beer? I used to be quite good at
You
it.
got too much head, I got no head. It's alright.
You can have some of my head.
Really?
Yeah,
You'll give me some head?
I'll give you head right now.
Dude, I would love some of your head.
Cheers.
Cheers. We should have made like a sexual reference there. So, what a missed opportunity.
Mercy.
Paul's dying! Pat him down! Wipe it!
That was all air. That was all just trying to swallow air there.
That's what happens when you get too much head. It can happen. There is such a thing as too much head.
Excuse me. On that note,
On that note,
let's
let's plug our channels or our stores really quick. We're still selling stuff. I'm selling mugs, new mugs and new glasses. They just hit the store a week or 2 ago. You can go ahead and pick them up now. Sometimes I overclock myself. Get it? Because you're getting all wired on coffee. It's hilarious. And then also the glasses. They're tall boy, kind of retro style. If you want to keep it classy and you don't want to drink out of a tin can, you can class it up with some glass.
drink out of a glass that looks like one.
Class it, some glass it.
Alright.
And then I've also got Paul's channel. Paul's store.
My
I
store.
don't want to keep calling it. Well,
Paul's-
there's a happy face. Doesn't look like a face. Looks like
Oh,
a
it
face.
does.
Oh my god, it looks like a face.
It's like that dude from Star Wars with just the mouth open like.
Oh, like the
Okay.
C-3PO type of thing?
No, it's like a alien guy with just the mouth open.
It's so crazy. I want to take a picture, but it's too late. It's
Your
already just for me.
fort is
But, yeah, Paul's got Paul's got all the stuff.
Paul's.net, buy stuff.
Beanies,
Good.
shirts, polos, all that good stuff.
Just cutting that off.
Yep.
Alright.
Boom. Let's move on. And then finally, you guys can donate. For those of you who are watching us on YouTube gaming.youtube, whatever, you guys can donate. And if you guys put in a question or just a comment, we will read it. We'll be forced to read your shit because you've given us money.
Trick is, if you're watching a normal YouTube video, take the www, change it to gaming. So instead of www.youtube.com/whatever, gaming.youtube.com.
Takes you right
That's
there.
how you switch from the one mode to the other.
Yes.
Because normal one doesn't have the donate link.
True. So donations are by no means required, but they're always appreciated.
Already pouring in. That's
They're
right.
already pouring in. So we will be getting around to them later in the show. So we have our Cell buddy.
Our
Our
good
buddy
friend
Cell who's moderating
He's
chat.
awesome.
He's gonna acquire all of those, collect them, and then he's gonna make sure that we read them off at the end of the show.
He's the best.
And also, Spider is moderating as well, I believe. So thank you guys both for being awesome. All right.
He's not as good as Cell.
He's
He's good. He's still good.
You know, we tolerate it.
Cell's just like a little bit.
Cell's superhuman. He's like a demigod. Spider's just like, you know, some kid in high school. He's alright.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I mean, I don't like hate him. Like hate him.
This is- you know he's way better at video games than us, right?
He'd kick our ass in anything.
And now,
any day.
and now, if he didn't already have enough reason to kill us anytime he has the opportunity, you have given it.
He said, "Wow, my poor, my poor heart."
Jeez.
We love you,
Sorry,
Spider.
we love you, dude.
We're only giving you shit because we love you. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to our first story. Continuing on with the news. News. Now, a lot of people were triggered so hard the last time I talked about Ryzen benchmarks because the source wasn't legitimate, even though it was specifically stated that it was a rumor. People were like, "How could you report this as news?" It's like, well, if it's rumor news, if it's reported as a rumor, then I'm not really seeing the huge point, the huge complaint here. But this is another rumor, so just to trigger you guys who were affected the first time even more, these ones seem a little bit more reliable. This is from WCCF Tech, whereas it wasn't quite as credible of a source when I last reported on it. But this was published more recently. This was after the last episode. Published online on a French PC hardware website. There's a link in there somewhere that will take you to it. They've been a well-known, reputable website since about 2001 is when they formed, so it's not just some random one-off sketchy website. This place actually has some kind of reputation.
Although this image is sketchy. It's just very JPEG artifacty.
Well, it's the
really see.
you know, it's the French. They're still trying to catch up to the rest of the world. So basically, the ID code on the CPU that was tested was listed as AMD plus a string of like 10, 12 characters, 2D3151A. There was no marketing chip name on the actual chip, so leads us to believe that it's probably an engineering sample. Also, the base clock was reported to be 3.15 gigahertz. 3.15 gigahertz. And Lisa Su claimed that the retail version of the Ryzen chip would be 3.4 gigahertz at least.
She did.
So
I
also
know that
accused us
because
that
I was
we were there.
physically in the room with her when she said it.
Did you feel her force, her energy?
That makes me happy that I can say that.
That's
She's,
nice.
she's
Epic moment. She's a nice woman.
she's very nice. Her presentation, I don't know. Sometimes I wish she'd just go up there and like list off facts, because some I don't know. Did you watch the Ryzen live stream or whatever? I don't know. Some of like the cajoling like that they try to do in there, it's just like it's a little forced
Yeah.
there, perhaps.
Cajoling. That is synonymous with like schmoozing type of thing.
Like joking around or like
Okay.
like trying to like, oh, we're having fun here.
All right.
You know,
Yeah.
like we're so good at pretending to be.
Yeah. Stop it!
Okay.
To the cellar with you. Yes, I know what you mean. I've been to plenty of other press conferences that kind of go that route. But she does know her shit. She did have a lot of interesting things to say, including the base clock would be 3.4, not 3.15 like this guy's testing here. Which, again, probably an engineering sample. That is occasionally the case with those. Slightly clocked differently. The Turbo all-core was 3.3 gigahertz. Turbo one-core, or single-core, was 3.5 gigahertz. And they basically tested this with a slew of rendering benchmarks, including Footage HB, W Prime, POV Ray, Blender 3D, 3ds Max 2015. The Corona benchmark, which I thought was interesting, was wondering if they would have to like render an image of like a shitty beer, or like if there's any. I don't know.
I feel like the Corona benchmark would leave a bad taste in your mouth.
Ooh, solid pun, Paul. Solid pun. 10 out of 10. Would pun again. So basically, when it came to the rendering benchmarks, that's kind of like where the Ryzen chip seems to shine because they are taking advantage of multiple threads and having 6 cores itself on the Ryzen chip can help a huge deal with that sort of thing. So it actually shows it beating out the Core i7-6800K, which is a $434-ish CPU. Again, we don't know what the pricing of this Ryzen chip is going to be, but if it's anything like the traditional AMD philosophy and pricing scheme, it's going to be very competitive with Intel offerings. So it's going to be competing on the multi-threaded front with the 6800K, just to reiterate. Although it's lagging severely behind the 6900K, which you might be like, oh, well, that's a bummer, but the 6900K is a $1,000 plus chip. So if your hope was that Ryzen would be something that's remotely affordable, you don't want it to be $1,000 anyway. So you should be okay with it not competing directly with a $1,000 Intel chip. The fact that the article goes on to say that you could potentially overclock Ryzen and get within 5 to 10% the performance in multi-threaded applications, mind you, of the 6800K for potentially 2 or 3 times cheaper is something to get excited about, I think. And it's kind of an offering on the AMD front that Intel really hasn't even been remotely challenged with lately. They also did some gaming benchmarks, and with games, it does utilize multiple cores and things like that, but it doesn't really utilize threads as much as like a rendering program or application would. It's just not the same. I think they were saying in the article, like, well, actually, when you are playing a game, the second thread, like the first thread is like fully utilized, the second thread is significantly less utilized, and then every subsequent thread after that is exponentially used less and less. So when it comes to that, it's pretty much frequency that takes over. Frequency is going to be the winning aspect here, as opposed to multiple cores. And that's kind of the point that they were driving home. And due to that, when tested in games, the Ryzen chip was actually scoring in between the Core i5-6500 and the 6600, which is not phenomenal, but it's obviously much better than like the FX8370 was, which they also compare here, which was 60% slower. In the multi-threaded applications, the FX8370 was 60% slower, and it was something like 30 to 40% slower in game. So that's still a huge bump up. But yeah, that's pretty much the gist of the findings. Again, I cannot confirm or deny whether or how legitimate these results are, but if they are true, it means that we are going to see a hell of a lot of competition for Intel come early 2017 with this Ryzen chip, because, I mean, shit, if it can compete with a 6800K or even a 6900K for $300-400, I could see a lot of people switching over to the AMD platform, just because even if you can still get a good value with an Intel chip at that caliber, I think people are just looking for change, to be honest. Like for the last, like, I don't know, apart from the AMD build that I did like a month or two ago, every build that I've done has been like, you know, a high-end NVIDIA card with like an Intel Core i5 or Core i7. I haven't really, unless it's a budget build that I'm talking about, I have not used an AMD chip. So I think people are aching for something new, something fresh. A lot of people are in the market for a new PC, and they might want to try out AMD for the platform and stuff. So we'll see. We'll see come CES if that.
So the reasons I have to doubt this article, or at least doubt the veracity of their results long term, mainly has to do with the clock speeds that they're reporting, because, as Kyle already said, Lisa Su has confirmed that they're plotting a 3.4 gigahertz base clock for the Ryzen processor, and they said that will start at that. So they seem to indicate that there might be, like, whatever the lowest end Ryzen chip will start with 8 cores, 16 threads, 3.4 gigahertz base, and a boost that is still unknown. So the fact that this one's starting at 3.15, boosting to 3.5 on one thread, boosting to 3.2 or 3.4?
What, the Ryzen chip?
this chip in their test right now. What the boot
I could not
scroll
find-
up a little bit. It said it in the article. You had it.
Where?
The turbo on
Oh, yeah,
the turbo on one
turbo
core
was 3.5.
was 3.5. The
Yeah.
turbo on all cores was 3.3.
Yeah.
That tells me that they're probably using outdated microarchitecture, if not an outdated or an earlier sample or version of the CPU.
Because it can probably go way past that.
According to rumors, there are already vendors that have Ryzen samples in hand. They have to send them out to like motherboard manufacturers and that kind of thing at some points so that they can actually start building the motherboards around them.
Right.
And there are different versions that go out. Sometimes you have engineering samples that go out that are all the same. Sometimes you have ones that go out that are that